and begin the habitation of the Hawaiian Islands. When Captain James Cook landed here in 1778, he opened up the paradise of the Hawaiian Islands to the rest of the world. Kauai, the oldest island, was built by one huge volcano 6 million years ago. From its beaches to its mountain ranges and canyons, Kauai is one of the most geographically diverse places on the earth. That landscape will be a challenge for the athletes in WoMan Kauai, who will run, bike, and then run again, a total of 67 miles through the Garden Island. The start here at Poipu Beach receiving some unusually windy conditions as Mayor Wendy Yakamura comes out to start the race. The field is headed by Kenny Souza, the 7-time U.S. champion, and the women's favorite, Maddie Torman of Corvallis, Oregon, winner of the WoMan Switzerland, but she's been injured since that race in May. Challengers include Wendy Ingram of Walnut Creek, California, and on the men's side, Jeff Devlin, the 1992 Duathlete of the Year from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Urs Delsperger of Switzerland, the European champion and second in the World Championship this year, and next to him in white, Richard Allen, the European junior champion from England. The first leg of this race is a 5K run.
Here we go.
There will be another race for the less ambitious of roughly half the distances in this long course, but this is the race with the professionals. The wind very strong, but at this point, it's at the athletes' back and they are flying. Still, this promises to be a challenging day on one of the most demanding race courses in the world.
From the island of Kauai in the Hawaiian Islands, it's the first ever WoMan Kauai. WoMan Kauai is brought to you by American Airlines, something special in the air. And by the Hyatt Regency Kauai Resort and Spa. Hyatt, we've thought of everything. And by Dollar Rent-A-Car, right on the airport, right on the money.
Aloha and welcome to Hawaii. I'm Marty LaCory along with Todd Rainsberger, and we're here for WoMan Kauai, an endurance event that maybe has no equal in all the world. The distance is a 3-mile run followed by a 55-mile bike and then another 9-mile run. But Todd Rainsberger, the distances alone don't tell the whole story.
No, not by any means. I think this race has the chance to be one of the world's great events for a couple of reasons, and one is the spectacular setting. There can't be any place in the world that's more unbelievable than Kauai. The second thing is a race needs to be physically challenging, and right in the middle of a 55-mile bike is a 6-mile climb that's straight uphill without a break, and then they go flying down the other side. It's a 2,300-foot gain in 6 miles, and if that doesn't tell you enough, every athlete who's ridden that in the last couple of days comes back and says, this is the toughest climb in multi-sport racing.
Well, they'll also have some strong winds to contend with on portions of the course. Right now, let's go back out and join the athletes on that first run.
There's a good look at Poipu Beach in the early morning. Marty, I think we're going to see more conservatism in this field in this first 5K than we might otherwise. When the athletes rode their bikes to the start line, they were remarking about the wind, and that created a general mood of concern. And so they're going to spend more time feeling this course out and getting into the race before they really hit it.
Well, to finish well in this race, it is going to take some patience. Kenny Souza, the favorite, showing that as he is at the back of the pack right now. And he's usually one of the guys who likes to go first, so he knows it's going to be a long day.
The race course stays on the south coast of Kauai. They loop back towards the host hotel, then they'll hop on their bikes right along the south coast through Hanapepe, up to Waimea Canyon, go to the top of the canyon and back down to the hotel, and then the 15K run.
Well, the field in the women's division at least strung out already. Not everyone is as impatient as Ken Souza told us earlier he thought they would be.
The first 5K, most of the athletes here are used to doing 5K, 30K, 5Ks, so they're really going to be taking this kind of like a sprint race. They're going to be going hard, flat out. None of these guys are really going to be conserving, so it's going to be real interesting to see them do it. Mentally during the race, I'm just trying to play the field out and see where they are. I mean, I don't usually take control unless I'm really confident and somebody's usually slacking up the pace, because some of these guys will tend to know that I like to take command on the bike. So they'll try to ease up, thinking that, well, if I'm going easier, they're going easier, so they can save some for the bike. And if I see the pace start to slack up, then I'll go to the front and kind of say, okay, let's pick this up.
Kenny Souza at the back of the men's pack right now, and as you can see from the grass on the side of the roads, they are being buffeted by winds, and even though they're side winds, it's smart to stay in that pack and be protected. Relaxation, the main thing to concentrate in this first 5K. Maddie Torman out there on her own in the women's race, and we'll come back to Kauai in just a moment. Stay with us. As rainwater makes its way down Kauai's mountains, the awesome power of nature's waterfalls is evident. There are hundreds of waterfalls on Kauai. The cascading falls were once used as proving grounds by Hawaiian chiefs who would dive off the cliffs to prove their courage. The most famous of these is Wailua Falls, whose source is Mount Waialeale, and it was used in the opening of the TV program Fantasy Island.
Great wave, hot sun, fresh spider, black run. Oh yeah, something special in the air.
If you like your vacations hot, or if you like them cold, American Airlines can take you where there's something special in the air.
Silverbird, take me where there's something special in the air.
I think we have a little problem here.
Joey has to come with us on vacation.
Joey's going on vacation with his own family.
I'm not leaving without Joey.
They have fantastic pools at this hotel.
I do everything with Joey.
Well, they have a camp?
Just for kids.
A huge water slide.
Ginormous water slide.
Dear Joey, sorry you couldn't be here.
Who'd have thought we'd make such a big splash with everyone?
I'm not going home without Sam.
Hyatt, we've thought of everything.
Come back to the beauty of Kauai. Fly United Airlines to Hawaii and rediscover Kauai.
25 years the club's been taking this vacation. Maybe it should have been 24.
Welcome to Dollar. Something in a full size?
As long as there's room for my hog.
Or as much room as you need. Rent from Dollar. They're right on the airport, right on the money.
All right, everybody, hands on the wheel at 10 and
Call your
2.
travel agent or 1-800-800-4000.
Kauai's North Shore includes the unspoiled beauty of the Nepali coast. The highest sea cliffs in the Pacific can be seen only by boat, helicopter, or on foot. Each year, over 1 million visitors come to Kauai, and the unique Nepali coast with its magnificent waterfalls, sea caves, and 4,000-foot vertical faces worn to incredible shapes by millions of years of erosion is one of the major reasons. Back to the race now. The athletes about halfway through the first 5K. The best swimmer in the sport of triathlon is Wendy Ingram, but she has really improved her running in the past year. We asked her why.
I don't have a broken foot anymore, and I think that's a big plus. I've worked on my running a lot this past winter, right before Ironman and my 92 season, and I'm hoping that has helped a lot. So hopefully we'll see a big improvement out there.
Well, running with a broken foot is never recommended. She got 5th place in the Ironman triathlon this year. Maddie Torman comes from a running background, ran in the U.S. Olympic trials in the marathon, and Nancy Rydell, another top runner who has a running background. All of the top 3 women were accomplished in one sport before they took up the duathlon. Maddie Torben has a varied background that's of interest. Here's more on this amazing athlete.
Madeline Torben began her professional career in 1988 as a runner. An injury forced her into cross training. After a few months of cycling, she was winning races and gold medals in the Pan Am Games. After a few months on a rowing machine, she set a world record in 1990. 1990 was also the year Torben took up duathlon, and she quickly dominated. She was named 1992 Duathlete of the Year. The biggest win for the 32-year-old was in the premier event in the sport, Powerman Zofingen.
It was extremely exciting for me, and it was surprising. It was always fun to win a big race when you kind of feel almost like an underdog, you know, and then it's just like everybody's surprise is fun. And now it's different, you know. Now if I win, it's kind of like, oh, it's expected, you know. If I don't win, it's like, what happened? So Zofingen was just, I think, real special in that way.
Predictably, Torben is the favorite to win in Kauai.
It might make me a little bit more nervous, particularly because I haven't been doing a lot of duathlon races. In fact, I haven't been racing a lot since Zofingen, a few. But it's fun to be the favorite in some ways, you know. In some ways it can just give you confidence, and I did win Zofingen, and so I know I can do it.
Maddie Torben, the leader right now in the women's race. She's a great cyclist. She won a gold medal at the Pan American Games on the U.S. team, but Donna Peters is also capable of making up many minutes in a 55-mile bike ride. So she will be a person to watch coming from behind. The men's pack consists of Paul Thomas, Greg Van Holt of South Africa, Michael Tobin of the United States, and Kenny Souza. He's the man that everyone keys off of in any duathlon. Here's Todd Rainsberger with a look at King Kenny.
For Kenny Souza, the races became boringly predictable. He was not with the pack for long. 4-time Duathlete of the Year, 7-time national champion, undefeated during the late 80s, he was rightly called the king of duathlon. Now that winning is not the issue, the motivation has become more basic.
For me personally, is a lot of money's coming into the sport right now, you know, and it's kind of nice to go do a race, and instead of picking up, you know, $800 or $1,000, you know, you're picking up $40,000 or a new BMW. You know, that's kind of nice, and that's motivating in sports. I mean, we're professional athletes. I get paid to do what I do this for a living.
Souza's success and fame were one of the reasons for the growth of duathlon. Looking for new opportunities, he went to Europe and even hosted off-road scrambles to showcase his athletic talent. But lately, the flamboyant Souza has become more conservative. The reason is simple. He's got a wife and 2 babies.
It has structured my life to now where it's not like I'm going to come home and just veg out. You know, I have kids' diapers to change or haul them off to the park and play, and I think it just makes you a much more well-balanced person and a well-balanced athlete, because you really do learn how to have your hard days and have your easy days and rest and take off and enjoy life.
Most of the top duathletes are like Kenny Souza with strong running backgrounds, but George Pierce was on the national cycling team for 3 years. But he's already behind on the run. This is a tough field to spot any distance at this point in the race.
When you see the men's leaders shift over behind that truck, I think you're going to see it a lot today. Anytime there's a chance to draft off of anything, they're going to take advantage of it.
Maddie Torben drafting off of 2 men. And behind her, Sue Latshaw, who was recently 3rd in the Ironman, right on Wendy Ingram's back. We'll come back for the transition to the bikes in just a moment.
Suburban Pontiac in Ypsilanti. We've got all the new Pontiac excitement for 1994.
Grand Am, pure style from the ground up. 4-speed automatic, standard with a driver's side airbag.
Grand Prix sedan, superior performance wrapped in Pontiac excitement. Dual airbag standard, enhancement options available.
Sunbird, Pontiac's entry-level car has gotten better and more affordable for 94. Smart buy or smart lease.
Suburban Pontiac in Ypsilanti, the place to buy Pontiacs in Washtenaw County.
Why settle for the ordinary when Audio Video Showcase in Ann Arbor can give you the extraordinary? Surround sound home theater, custom cabinets and furniture, custom installation, equipment from Bang & Olufsen, Nakamichi, Polk, Sony ES, and many others. Audio worth hearing, video worth seeing. Experience the extraordinary at Audio Video Showcase and leave the ordinary behind.
Tell them just who might win.
I had Dicker. Yes. I had it too.
You thought you'd seen it all? Keep your eyes wide open. The American Sports Awards is back.
The ESPY Award goes to...
That's where you come in. See the year's most memorable and outrageous plays on ESPN SportsCenter. Then punch in with your vote on who gets an ESPY.
I got mine.
Check into the next SportsCenter and check out the ESPY.
Picking just one beach to visit on Kauai's 90 miles of coastline is a difficult task. There are beaches for surfing or snorkeling, for windsurfing and kayaking. And there are beaches for romantic walks and solitude. Some are accessible only by boat or by hiking. But one thing is for certain, there is no better place to be when the sun goes down. That will be the reward for these athletes, win or lose today here at Powerman Kauai.
At the front of the lead group of 4 is Paul Thomas, who was the Rookie of the Year for 1993 in duathlon, and he's only been in the sport for about 6 months. He was a tremendous runner in high school, #1 ranked for 2 miles in the country, #3 ranked for 1 mile, so we know he can run. His cycling is questionable. One of the best cyclists in the field is right in front of Paul. That's Greg Van Holt of South Africa. He's on the national cycling team. He may be the best cyclist in the men's field. Second pack coming in now.
That second pack includes Jeff Devlin, the only athlete in the sport to be Duathlete of the Year besides Kenny Souza. And he's a good runner. I'm a little surprised that he's not right up there with the first pack.
Well, it's been a tough year for Jeff Devlin. He was tremendous in 1992 Duathlete of the Year, but he's fallen on hard times since then.
Well, as Jeff Devlin tries to work his way up to the lead pack as they leave the Hyatt Regency Kauai, let's take a moment to catch up with him about what's been a frustrating year for him.
In 1991 and 92, Jeff Devlin got used to winning. In addition to being Duathlete of the Year in 1992, Devlin was a world-class triathlete, highlighted by a third-place finish in the 1991 Ironman. He was to be the next Mark Allen and Kenny Souza combined in one talented package. But 1993 has cast doubt on that promise. The 29-year-old Devlin has battled a variety of problems and struggled to regain his old form.
Well, this past year's been pretty difficult for me. I've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of bad luck, mechanical problems. Really, you name it, I've gone through some sort of transition this year that hopefully I'm through.
Devlin concedes that a win today would help reverse a bad trend.
A win here would definitely mean I'd end the season on a high note as opposed to having a very, disappointing year. That would give me a lot of confidence going into next year.
And maybe that confidence is all Jeff Devlin needs to put him back on top.
Jeff Devlin right now, one of the 4 or 5 men trying to match the pace of Kenny Souza, and he is in control of the cycling leg right now.
I'm a little bit surprised to see that Kenny's riding with a disc wheel. Normally that's considered a disadvantage in high winds, especially when you only weigh 130 pounds as Kenny does. He can get whipped around by this wind.
Well, back at the Hyatt, the women are coming into transition. Maddie Torman, the leader, and she looks relaxed with about a 30-second lead.
Well, they know Maddie is an excellent runner, but they may have given her too much of a lead. I mean, I don't think you can win the race in the 5K, but you can certainly make the rest of your race awfully difficult if you're not in touch with the leaders coming into the bike leg.
Nancy Rydell, considered a strong cyclist, even though she was a runner in college. Just behind her, Wendy Ingram, who was 5th in the Ironman triathlon, and Sue Latshaw, who was 3rd. And they will go out together.
The Ironman was not that long ago. You wonder if these two have recovered sufficiently from that race to do well in this one. The Ironman bike course is perfectly flat. This one, with a 2,300-foot climb, is going to be a lot more interesting.
Well, the cyclists aren't the only ones who find the topography of Kauai interesting. Hollywood has found Kauai to be the place to come when the script calls for paradise.
On a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, man has mastered the secret of creation.
Well, that's only a storyline. And it wasn't really Costa Rica, it was Kauai. The blockbuster Jurassic Park was one of dozens of movies shot in Kauai. In fact, Steven Spielberg had been here before when shooting Indiana Jones. It's no wonder the dinosaurs looked at home on Kauai. There are areas here that look like time has forgotten them. Kauai's 7 microclimates and varied terrain in 550 square miles gives Hollywood the ability to fool us. We might as well ask,
how'd you do this?
Can I touch it?
Sure.
You feel that?
Hold on to your butts. Senses of feeling all over the park.
Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
Look out! Go!
The backdrops are more than nice on Kauai. They're spectacular, larger than life, more realistic than the real thing. Just what Hollywood is all about.
Come back to the beauty of Kauai. Fly United Airlines to Hawaii and rediscover Kauai.
Super Slams, buzzer beaters, the most thrilling plays in college basketball ever. And this incredible video is yours free when you subscribe to College Sports, the hot new magazine devoted exclusively to college sports. The inside story, top recruits, stats, and more. You've never seen anything like College Sports Magazine. Order now for 3 easy payments of $7.99 and get the video free. If not satisfied, just ask for a refund, but keep the video. New Year's resolution number 1. Travel the world and experience the exotic, the outrageous, and the spectacular way people around the world enjoy their sports. Amazing Games New Year's Day Festival. 3.5 hours of the world's most amazing games. See it, believe it. Amazing Games Festival. Tonight, only on ESPN.
We're back at Powerman Kauai, where the athletes are on the second leg of this 3-leg duathlon. After a 5K run, they are on a 55-mile bike ride. Kenny Souza with a lead over Jeff Devlin and Michael Tobin.
In talking to Kenny before the race, he really didn't want to take the lead this early. He was going to kind of sit back and see what everybody else did, and if the pace got slow, only then would he go to the front. So obviously he feels like the pace needs to be picked up.
Well, Kenny's not one for tactical races. He likes to keep everyone in some level of discomfort.
I think we got to look at his victory or death tattoo, if that gives you any idea what his attitude is. Jeff Devlin moving into second. So far, a good race for Jeff.
As they head out through the sugarcane fields, a large part of the race along these fields, but sugar is not as important a crop as it was in the past to this island. Coffee, tea, and macadamia nuts are being put into production more as the price of sugar drops.
Former computer engineer Jeff Devlin, followed by Michael Tobin, who's done well in the Powerman Zofingen races, only to fade in the bike.
Maddie Torman won that race back in May in Zofingen. Since that time, she had an injury to her foot, so she's been spending more time on the bike, and she should be strong here. You can see a little bit different contrast in style.
Well, a nice holler by Nancy Rydell. She's enthusiastic at this point, and in fact, she's gaining ground on Maddie Torman. Not far behind them, Sue Latshaw, passing Wendy Ingram to take over third.
She's having a great year, so we asked her why.
My career has turned around in the last year and a half for a number of reasons. The main one is that I've learned a lot from my illnesses and injuries in the past, and I've learned how to keep myself healthy and strong and focused on reasonable goals. I'm getting older, and I recognize that I have a window of about 5 years to accomplish my goals. I'm not in my early 20s anymore. I don't have time to waste.
Well, she's not wasting any time as she tries to pull in the leaders. The men are at the base of Waimea Canyon, and we talked to some of them about the climb ahead.
It's probably the toughest climb I've seen in any race I've done, by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah.
I will try and see if I can do anything on the canyon. It's going to be quite tough because of the hills being so steep. I actually had to get some other gears brought in from one of the other islands.
Parts go down, going up. You can't find the rhythm in this bike section. I think it will be very, very hard, especially also with the wind.
It's such a long course with this tricky climb and tricky descent. Yeah, it's tough.
It's going to blow up the field. People are going to get really tired. People are going to want to cave in. People are going to have a hard time staying focused for the rest of the race.
Place 20 miles into the bike, so it'll break some people mentally also.
And you have to be monitoring yourself on all the climbs, because if you go a little bit too hard, you're going to pay for it.
I think it's going to be a race up that climb. I think that there are a lot of strong cyclists, but I still think that climb is enough that it may break us up. And you know, a lot of that has to do with there's a number of us that are very strong, and whoever has a better day is going to be up there.
For that type of climb, you really got to get into a rhythm and just kind of keep your own rhythm the whole way up, because once you're like going faster or slower, you're sitting down, standing up, you're just going to get out of a rhythm. And that's the key thing for a climb like that, is to get in a real good rhythm and stick with the whole way up. And you got to just push through the pain, and that's a hard thing.
I indulged in being a weenie on the descent in my practice runs until this last one, and I was half a weenie on the last practice run, so now I'm ready to go for it on the descent.
A number of athletes felt that the race didn't even get serious until they got to the base of the hill, and now with 7 riders all together, the race is truly starting again right here.
Well, everyone was just biding their time till the real work started, and this is it. This is when you find out what you have, both mentally and physically.
But what makes this climb so physically difficult is that there's very little relief. There's no time to release the lactic acid, release the pressure that's building up in your thighs as you just continue to climb for about 45 minutes nonstop.
Not only your thighs, but your back and your shoulders and even your hands. Greg Van Holt of South Africa is able to stay seated as he makes the climb in a low gear.
He's our pick for best cyclist, but right now he's falling back.
And there's our pick for the man with the least amount of cycling experience, but for a runner, he's got a strong upper body and he's able to manhandle that bike.
Right now, Paul Thomas in third, Michael Tobin in second. That's a little bit of a surprise. Kenny Souza still up ahead in the lead.
Well, Michael Tobin learned his lesson at PowerMan in Switzerland when he was leading the bike ride and then really faded on the run. So it looks like he's tailing Kenny Souza and is hesitant to take the lead, even if Souza would allow him to. This is one severe climb. As the athletes hit the hill and their heads drop, this is what they'll be missing. Hawaii's answer to the Grand Canyon, Waimea Canyon. Wind, rain, streams, and waterfalls, working for millions of years, have ground the red bedrock to depths of 3,500 feet, with valleys 10 miles wide. The geological history of the island is evident in the canyon's layered walls.
Great wave, hot sun, fresh spider, black run. Oh yeah, there's something special in the air.
If you like your vacations hot, or if you like them cold, American Airlines can take you where there's something special in the air.
Silverbird, take me where there's something special in the air.
Super Power slams, buzzer beaters, the most thrilling plays in college basketball ever. And this incredible video is yours free when you subscribe to College Sports, the hot new magazine devoted exclusively to college sports. The inside stories, top recruits, stats, and more. You've never seen anything like College Sports Magazine. Order now for 3 easy payments of $7.99 and get the video free. If not satisfied, just ask for a refund, but keep the video.
College hoops. The Vanderbilt Commodores battle Rick Pitino's Wildcats. Watch it. SEC basketball action. Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern, only on ESPN.
The hula is the soul of Hawaii expressed in motion. It is history portrayed in the performing arts. Originally, only men danced the hula, but as time went on, women were allowed to learn the movements. Traditional Hawaiian hula was never performed in grass skirts. Still, the early missionaries considered it heathen and tried to abolish it, and many of the original dances have been forgotten. A dancer's face sets the mood. The hands tell the story, and their feet and hips can portray walking or running. I wonder what the movements are for cycling uphill. Well, talk about swaying back and forth. That's what a lot of these riders need to do just to get up this hill.
Well, the pros sometimes make it look easy. The age groupers bring it closer to home. Most of us would want to walk our bikes up this hill.
Sure seems like you could walk it up faster at some points.
Not much distance between the top 6 in the men's race. Still at the front, Kenny Souza.
Well, he's been out there for a long time, and I'm sure if anyone wants to come up and share the pace, he's willing to let them.
Well, what that says to me is that Kenny is conserving. He's riding a comfortable race, and only Michael Tobin so far is staying close.
You have to remember that no one has raced this climb before, so everyone's a little bit afraid of the unknown. This is Urs Delsberger of Switzerland. He's making up ground. He's from Bern, Switzerland, and I'm sure he's familiar with climbs.
Well, even he was a little bit intimidated by this climb, as we're all intimidated by this view. That is spectacular. And you can see why they liken it to the Grand Canyon, Marty.
Beautiful sight. Maddie Torman, all by herself, back farther on the hill.
Maddie is a tremendous athlete. She's got upper body strength in addition to the leg strength. So I think she's going to be able to handle this hill a lot better than just about anybody else in this field, with 2 possible exceptions.
One would be Donna Peters, and the other probably Nancy Rydell, who's surprised herself with her competence at cycling.
When I first got into this, I thought that that my lack of cycling was a disadvantage, but I've gotten strong fairly rapidly, improved a lot on the bike, and have some of the fastest bike splits in the races that I do. Even when I'm beaten by other people, often my bike splits are faster.
Very few people have bike splits that are faster than Donna Peters. Peters has moved into 3rd, but she's pretty much got to take the lead on the bike if she wants to be in contention. She's not going to outrun either Rydell or Torman.
Well, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in a long race of this type. Michael Tobin, in past Powerman races, has been at the front of the pack and paid for it.
Michael Tobin, who's had success as a duathlete in shorter races, has crashed and burned in the last 2 Powerman races in Zofingen, Switzerland. He led both races early, only to falter badly later on. The talent is there, but victory will only be the result of taking care of detail.
I'm not that ambitious as in becoming a star. I'd like to work on my performance most of all, and so I really have to examine how to race the long distances, the smaller things, appear smaller, as in feeding and hydration. And I think I, of course, believe in myself, feel like I have the potential, but it's just a matter of getting it all right.
And perhaps Michael Tobin, one of the nicest guys in the sport, will get it all right today.
Well, Michael Tobin at least knows where Kenny Souza is, right in front of him.
Well, he said beforehand he was going to ride a smart race, and so far he is. We'll see what happens on the final run. And look here, Nancy Rydell is closing on Maddie Torman.
but you wonder how much of a price you have to pay to close the gap on this hill. Well, the philosophy of the Powerman is to have an ultimate endurance event in a beautiful natural setting, and Waimea Canyon certainly fills that description.
Well, the scenic views are only for the athletes during practice runs. They're not paying any attention to these spectacular vistas right now. Well, now it's absolutely important to be focused as the men's leaders have started the descent.
Now the price of letting your mind wander gets very steep.
Well, 2 years ago, Kenny Souza, this is Michael Tobin behind him. 2 years ago, Souza had a bad bike crash, nearly fatal, on a downhill practice run. Since then, he saw a psychologist to get himself back into his aggressive mode, and he should be there today.
Nevertheless, it's Michael Tobin who's being more aggressive on this downhill.
Well, actually, the bicycle is probably the fastest way to get down this hill. In practice runs, the athletes were complaining about smelling their brakes burning. They were passing cars, passing motorcycles. They can fly down this hill. And right now, Michael Tobin is closing the gap.
And he is using the speed of this downhill to take the lead over Kenny Souza. It's a bold move. We'll see if he can hold that lead when we return to Powerman Kauai.
Come back to the beauty of Kauai. Fly United Airlines to Hawaii and rediscover Kauai.
Is your poor old elbow running out of elbow grease? Then you need Easy Stripper. Watch how its thousands of fingers per minute literally eat away old paint. Even a nail's no problem for Easy Stripper. Not like your old paper-powered sander. And forget messy, toxic chemical strippers. Easy Stripper's high-tensile steel fingers erase old paint with no mess. Even in the corners of this window frame, without shattering the glass. Nothing beats this incredible tool. Rust. Thick, scaly rust like this just wipes away in seconds with no effort, yet it's gentle enough to refinish fine furniture without damaging it. How much is this much stripping power worth to you? Well, you also get the driver, a breakthrough screwdriver design. Just slip in a screw and it locks in place. Power it in fast and straight without cutting up the surface or yourself. Now you can work above your head without breaking your back. There's even a depth dial built right in. Set it on number 1 and it leaves the screw raised. On number 7, it countersinks automatically. This monster screw would twist your wrist off the old way, but this tool drives it in and can be yours with Easy Stripper in this incredible $19.95 offer. Yes, both tools for $19.95. Order now.
For rush delivery, call 1-800-323-1000 or send $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping to Easy Stripper Plus, P.O. Box 667, Department Number 251, Georgetown, Connecticut, for your Easy Stripper and driver. Order now. Call 1-800-323-1000.
Hawaii's shore break is legendary, the beaches without equal. But of all the Hawaiian islands, Kauai is the only island with a navigable river, the Wailua. Flat water or ocean, wind-assisted or human-powered, catamaran, kayak, or outrigger, boating is a large part of the island life. Well, there's no water in Duathlon. Duathlon is run, bike, run. Marty LaCourrier along with Todd Rainsberger as Maddie Torman leads the women's race at Powerman Kauai. She already won in May at Powerman Switzerland, but since that time she's been working through an injury. Nancy Rydell in second.
Well, Rydell may be an athletic match for Maddie Torman. She does triathlons and rides in cycling races as an amateur. Just
Donna Peters trying to make up ground. As we said earlier, she's a great cyclist, but she needs a lead when they start that 9-mile run. Kenny Souza making his way past the rainbow. He's back in the lead. Michael Tobin just off his back wheel, and Kenny is checking him out. to see if he's dropping him.
Ken Souza is a strong runner, but he knows that Michael Tobin is also. Kenny doesn't want Tobin on his wheel when he goes into the transition. He doesn't want to have to run hard in that 15K if he can avoid it. No one does.
Urs Delsberger of Switzerland now in 4th place, and Todd, he seems hesitant to move past Jeff Devlin.
Well, Urs made up more ground than anybody on the Waimea Canyon Hill, and so he's looking pretty strong. Before the race, he was confident in his second run, so this is not a bad position for Urs. His only question was the bike. After the World Championships, he didn't get much chance to train.
After the World Championships in Dallas, I go back to Switzerland, and then the next 4 weeks it was too cold, too snowy, so I think I have not enough bike training the last months. But I will give my best tomorrow, and I hope I can stand with the best.
Well, he's staying with the best on this bike leg, but it looks as if he's waiting to get to that second run. Well, for 90% of this bike leg, Kenny Souza has shouldered the psychological burden of leading the race. Now Michael Tobin has moved alongside.
I think you're exactly right, Marty. This is a psychological move. He's telling Kenny, you don't intimidate me. He told him once on the hill, he's telling him again.
The women's race has also become psychological warfare as Nancy Rydell is sitting on Maddie Torman's rear wheel.
Well, Tobin is adding to his psychological statement. He's actually pulling away from Kenny. Maybe Kenny's given all he's got.
Well, I think he needs a break. He's been leading for a long time, and now he is reacting to this move. With the hill behind them, they're both confident that they can nail it to the finish from here. In the women's race, Nancy Rydell has gone into the lead.
Well, this is an amazing story. About a mile from the top of the Waimea Canyon Hill, Nancy Rydell had a bike crash. She's got some terrible road rash on her right side. We'll see it probably later if we can get an angle on it. But she got back up and has taken the lead.
Now the men's race is starting to become a psychological battle, with the lead changing back and forth. Kenny Souza on the left, Michael Tobin on the right. Tobin may have made his point and may be content now just to come off the bike, even with Souza to start the run.
Well, under the rainbow, Nancy Rydell is not content. She's pulling out ahead of Maddie Torman, who's been rubbing her legs as if she has a cramp.
Well, this was not to be expected. We thought if Rydell were to catch Torman, it would be on the run. Donna Peters does not look like she's going to be a factor. She has not been up to the front of the pack on the bicycle leg. As Souza and Tobin head into the bike to run transition at the Hyatt Regency, we'll take a break.
Last year, a car dealership opened that would go any distance to bring forth a new level of automotive design and luxury, paired with exceptional service. That dealership was Lexus of Lansing. And if you thought what we brought you last year was impressive, look what we have this year. The Lexus LS 400 Luxury Sedan, now just $599 per month. For a personal showing, call today. Lexus of Lansing, bringing excellence to you.
If there was a road that stretched from North America to Europe, finding expert service for your European automobile would be easy. However, there is a better way. Just visit your Bosch authorized service specialist. They have all the tools, training, and original Bosch parts to service your European automobile. And the best part is, they're a lot closer to home.
Your Bosch Service Center for European, Asian, and American cars, PAT Ann Arbor.
And see all the NFL action every Sunday. Sit back. Let us do the work. ESPN NFL Primetime. We'll find every bone-crushing hit, search out every key play, and mix insight from our pros into television's fastest hour of football. NFL Primetime. Tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, only on ESPN.
The Fern Grotto is a natural rock amphitheater whose walls create the perfect conditions for ferns to grow, and whose natural cathedral is the scene of many Hawaiian weddings. And if walking isn't enough to satisfy your appetite for sightseeing, mountain bikes have made touring more of the island of Kauai possible in less time. A classic way to see the island is on horseback. However you get around, the spectacular vistas are worth the effort. Ken Souza beginning the 15-kilometer portion of Powerman Kauai. As he is first out of the bike-to-run transition, Michael Tobin not far behind.
Well, they've been going hard for almost 3 hours now, and the farther into this race they get, the more psychological it gets. The harder it is to fight through the pain.
Well, the women have a psychological battle on their hands, too. If they look like they're going slowly, it's because they're cycling into about a 30-mile-an-hour wind. Coming out of the transition area, you saw Tobin and Kenny Souza trying to get fluids. Kenny Souza said before the race that in a race this long and this hard, nutrition would play an important part. Tobin said earlier he was still learning about hydration and nutrition. Well, Kenny Souza has made a move, and it may have been something he's planned all along.
Your legs basically are completely dead and flat from the bike ride you're doing, especially with the climb like this that we'll be doing. So it's going to be really trying to hold together your form and trying to stay as relaxed, keep your breathing kind of in a rhythm, and pushing it as hard as you can. I'd hopefully like to have a lead off the bike, to be able to do this kind of last run at my pace instead of having to forcing it and you know, really have to catch somebody and kind of really destroy my off season.
The amazing thing to me is that Souza gets off of the bike after a climb like Waimea Canyon, and his muscles aren't even tight. He doesn't have to start off with short strides and gradually increase his stride length as he loosens up. Back to the women's race, where Nancy Rydell on the left and Maddie Torman on the right are locked in battle. You go through patches in races this long where you feel good and where you feel bad. And right now, their paths have met.
Well, you wonder what the psychological effects are of that crash on Nancy Rydell.
Coming down the mountain in one of the first turns, she had a little bit too much speed and went down. She got right back up. Clearly, she wasn't ready to quit.
There's a time in everybody's race where they have to answer the question, how hard are they willing to go? Or how much are you willing to hurt? How badly do you want it? And sometimes the answer's, I can't do this. I can't push anymore. I can't go on it at this pace. And sometimes the answer is, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to win or to pass that person. And that's where mental toughness comes in, answering that you're willing to do anything in your race.
Well, realistically, sometimes your opponent has something to say about it. And Maddie Torman has pulled away from Nancy Rydell right now. Michael Tobin still in the picture, chasing Kenny Souza. This is by far his best power man. 2 years ago in Switzerland, he finished 7th. And last year, after leading on the bike, he dropped out of the final run. So he has gotten quite far in his attempt to win one of these. Not posing any threat as they battle for third are Urs Delsberger and Jeff Devlin. Their positions are reversed from earlier when Devlin was leading the bike and Delsberger was sitting on his rear wheel. Earlier, we talked with Tom Cooney, the race director of Powerman, about the future of the series.
This is our first year, and we had 4 events, and next year we'll have 12 events, 7 in Europe, 5 around the world. We'll have a $100,000 points pool. Saucony will be our title sponsor of the event, and the total prize money of the series will be $500,000. We picked Kauai because it's a beautiful location, and we wanted to bring Powerman to the United States. We felt this was a good place to start it.
Great future for the Powerman series. Well, we'll come back for the finish of this race in a moment. Stay with us.
When stress takes its toll, wouldn't it be great to have your very own personal masseuse to soothe and relieve tension? When routine jobs become painful, wouldn't it be great to call on a shiatsu massage therapist to melt away sore, aching muscles? TheraFX presents the Pro Shiatsu Personal Massager. Unlike vibrating massagers that only rub the surface, Pro Shiatsu simulates the kneading action of a real masseuse, sending penetrating waves of energy to relieve pain, stress, and sore muscles. Use it on your feet, lower back, calves, and thighs. There's nothing that soothes, relaxes, and relieves aches and pains like the Pro Shiatsu Massager. Now you can order yours at the special price of 3 easy payments of $33. But wait, there's more. Call right now and we'll send you the original massage pillow. So order now.
To order your Pro Shiatsu plus the bonus pillow, call 1-800-453-2900. We'll bill your credit card 3 monthly payments of $33 plus shipping and handling. Call now 1-800-453-2900.
Johnny, let's tell them just who might win.
I had Dicker. Yes. I had it too.
You thought you'd seen it all? Keep your eyes wide open. The American Sports Awards is back.
The ESPY Award goes to...
That's where you come in. See the year's most memorable and outrageous plays on ESPN SportsCenter. Then punch in with your vote on who gets an ESPY.
I got mine.
Check into the next SportsCenter and check out the ESPY.
Welcome back to Power Man Kauai, where Kenny Souza is pulling away now in the men's race, and Maddie Torman is doing likewise in the women's division. Souza, early in his career, was a great duathlete at the shorter distances, but failed in some of the longer races. You can't say that about him anymore. Michael Tobin with a good race. He has learned how to pace himself, but he's looking forward to a stop ahead. The race for third still in doubt. Jeff Devlin in fourth and Urs Delsberger seem to be watching each other and saving it for a final sprint. And a great race by Richard Allen, the 19-year-old European junior champion from England. Nancy Rydell holding her head high as he watches Maddie Torman disappear in the distance. Maddie Torman said before the race she was looking forward to the second run, and she's matching her optimism with actions. Kenny Souza bouncing along as he was at the beginning of this 9.3-mile run, closes in on the finish line. Michael Tobin has lost ground on this second run, but Kenny Souza first to the top of the canyon and first across the finish line. And even the usually exuberant Souza shows the effect of this race. He's welcomed by his wife Denise, and Michael Tobin will finish second.
First Kenny Souza, second Michael Tobin, USA.
Urs Delsberger dropping Jeff Devlin in the last half a mile to get third. And Devlin, who said he was looking for a good race here, has to be happy with his fourth place finish. Maddie Torman still battling the winds as she heads for the finish line. Right now, let's hear from Souza and Tobin.
You know, the pace was still pretty fast the whole time. You know, it wasn't slow out there. You know, we were hitting, you know, my fastest speed out there was about 48, 49 miles an hour. On the flats and the wind, we were still going 28 miles an hour. So that was really hard. And the wind, you just really had to stay focused and concentrate on what you were doing. I mean, this was a hard race, and anybody who competed this and finished this race deserves a big hand.
I know what Ken Souza's capable of. So I know he's very headstrong, and he was very confident. I could tell yesterday talking to him.
So after 67 miles of racing, Ken Souza's margin of victory a little less than 2 minutes over Michael Tobin. Back now to the women's race, where Nancy Rydell continues in second place. She was fourth in the World Championships in October. In third place now, Wendy Ingram, who has passed a fading Donna Peters to occupy that spot. No question, Ingram is improving as a duathlete. And for leader Torman, who's done so well in so many sports, what motivates her to improve is a love of competition.
I've learned a lot about myself through competing, through winning, through losing, through dealing with relationships with competitors and things, and I just find the whole process and the whole experience fun, you know, sometimes hard, but sometimes really exciting, and I don't know, I just have developed a passion for it.
Well, Torman's passion has led to another triumph as she wins Powerman Kauai and receives congratulations from Urs Lindsay, Powerman founder. Nancy Rydell struggling to the finish. She's given all she can give, showing the effects of that bike crash. For Wendy Ingram, a satisfying finish in 3rd place. We'll be back in a moment. On the island of Kauai, there are 5 golf courses, each with their own unique beauty and varied challenges. Jack Nicholas designed the course at Kauai Lagoons, and Robert Trent Jones put his signature on the landscape at Kaihuna Golf Club near Poipu Beach here on the sunny south coast of the island. With the breathtaking views, you can't blame golfers for lifting their heads up and missing putts.
When stress takes its toll, wouldn't it be great to have your very own personal masseuse to soothe and relieve tension? When routine jobs become painful, wouldn't it be great to call on a shiatsu massage therapist to melt away sore, aching muscles? TheraFX presents the Pro Shiatsu Personal Massager. Unlike vibrating massagers that only rub the surface, Pro Shiatsu simulates the kneading action of a real masseuse, sending penetrating waves of energy to relieve pain, stress, and sore muscles. Use it on your feet, lower back, calves, and thighs. There's nothing that soothes, relaxes, and relieves aches and pains like the Pro Shiatsu Massager. Now you can order yours at the special price of 3 easy payments of $33. But wait, there's more. Call right now and we'll send you the original massage pillow. So order now.
To order your Pro Shiatsu plus the bonus pillow, call 1-800-453-2900. We'll bill your credit card 3 monthly payments of $33 plus shipping and handling. Call now 1-800-453-2900.
Hey, these penguin wings aren't bad.
This is ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
The incredible diversity of Kauai's landscape and climate can be attributed to the spectacular mountain ranges that crisscross the island. With 2 of the peaks towering over 5,000 feet, the mountains are the creation of a once great volcano that erupted out of the depths of the Pacific and grew into the island of Kauai. It's no wonder the early Hawaiians thought this creation was the work of gods. We're back at Powerman Kauai looking at the turning point in the women's race. It was a victory that didn't come easily for women's winner, Maddie Torman.
I had the feeling I'd be out front at the top. I'm a pretty good climber. And then when I had those cramps and Nancy caught me after the climb, I really got worried. And I started thinking, oh my God, this is it, you know. But I was just spinning, which is very unusual. I stayed really low, and I noticed she didn't do quite as well with that. And the cramps started to subside after like 5 miles. So then, you know, I realized I put some time on her, and I felt very good. Going into the second run in the lead is a good position for me.
For Nancy Rydell, it was a question of overcoming some of the effects of her bike crash.
First of all, my handlebars got a little messed up, so my aero bars, instead of being flat, were kind of up. And it was uncomfortable to be on my arms because I'd shoot up my elbow, and it made me a little bit nervous. As soon as I went down, I got right back up, and I was very focused and motivated, but still a little nervous.
So Maddie Torman wins Powerman Kauai with a victory over Nancy Rydell and Wendy Ingram. And our congratulations to all the competitors who completed Powerman Kauai. And as our race helicopter heads for the hangar past Poipu Beach, Shipwreck Beach, and the Hyatt Regency, I'm Marty LaCourie for Todd Rainsberger saying so long, everyone, from the island of Kauai.
Powerman Kauai has been brought to you by Hawaiian Airlines, Hawaii's flagship airline. And by Mauna Kea Helicopters for helicopter flights all over Hawaii. And by the Hyatt Regency Kauai Resort and Spa. Hyatt, we've thought of everything.